Welcome to Sam's Garage, presented by NH Oil Undercoating. On this episode of Sam's Garage, Kevin has some new anti-rock sway bars to install on his Jeep for off-roading. Then Travis helps do some frame modifications to install new rear bump cans. Sam and Doug take some time to review all the work on the Saleen Mustang restoration project. And then Doug takes Sam for a drive with the top down and the radio turned up. Team Locar is back in the garage to help Sam install new off-road sway bars on Kevin's Jeep. The anti-rock sway bars are designed to balance the vehicle's front and rear suspension when off-roading.
We are back at it this week with men from Locar Performance, and this week we're going to be installing the sway bar kit that we discussed last week. Now, what do we have here?
So this is the Rock Jock anti-rock sway bar. It's an off-road sway bar. We took out the factory electronic disconnect. Of course, me being me, I went with their billet kit. They've also got a kit with stamped steel brackets here and forged arms, and I just wanted that little extra.
No, for sure. It complements everything else that we've already done on the Jeep, don't you think, Travis?
It sure does.
Yeah, 100%. Now, I know you're going to be mad, but I went through, looked at the instructions.
That's good. Someone's got to do it, right?
So because this is a Rubicon, we're going to have to cut the brackets. That'll allow us to mount these, and because of the modification I made for the connecting rods on the JKS with the factory bar, so this is a great kit. I think it's going to go in really easy. We got front and rear.
Can't wait. Let's get started, Travis.
Let's do it.
The Rubicon, they've got a really nice electronic sway bar disconnect system. It does have limitations though, so when we put these 14-inch coilovers on here, we have more travel than this is capable of. So that's the main reason for going with the Rock Jock sway bar here. I was able to use this for a while just to get through the system. We're waiting on the axles and everything. I put these JKS connecting pieces in here. They allowed me to get the rods with the lift and everything in there. You can see how the rods come down, all of this guy here, kind of getting rid of all that. The anti-rock gets rid of all of this, so we're gonna have to go back and bolt all this back on, fix the bracket that we cut off to accommodate the JKS quick releases. Not a big deal, but just something we gotta do. With the stock sway bar and not having enough flex when it's disconnected, the JKS allows you to actually disconnect the rods so your sway bar is out of the equation when you're off-road. The Rock Jock actually has enough flex to accommodate these coilovers and how much movement we have. We don't have to get out of the Jeep, we don't have to disconnect everything. Simple is better when you're off-road. So that's why we're upgrading the system to that. The on-road behavior might be a little looser, but I'm okay with that. We're gonna have to weld the little tab back on the axle.
Do you have the tab?
I did not bring the tab with me, Sam, so we will fabricate one.
It's no problem at Sam's Garage, though, is it?
Not a problem at all, especially when you got Travis over here doing all the dirty work, right? What you saw Travis do just now is he's got these bushings for the crossbar for the sway bar almost completely installed onto the frame. We have to do some trimming, and then once we get that in, we're gonna put the crossbar in, then your end link. I have to say that was one of the easiest jobs these two have done, so I'm really proud of them for getting it finished up. Only thing I had to do was weld a little tab on, right?
Yeah, and buy a truck, all kinds of stuff.
Well, we needed a work truck, right?
We did.
That's right. No, this is a really clean kit. I like the way it goes to the front.
That was pretty genius, though, for someone to think of going through the frame, cross member like that, and doing this. Those Delaware bushings are going to do a good job of keeping it in place. No different than if you had a bushing and a half moon holding the front or rear sway bar on.
That's right. It's simple. It's adjustable. We'll have to see how it feels for us.
Now tell everyone not to be concerned, and why not to be concerned if they see that there is one link that's not straight up and down.
Oh, you know, the actual sagging, so it's going to move over a little bit.
There you go, front and rear, so don't forget that. We're going to be installing what in the rear?
We're going to install some bump stops. People might have questions. Why did we put this in to take it out? Well, we need to check our clearance, make sure how far we need those cans in, because it is a cut and weld project. It's not a do-it-yourself at home in the driveway unless you're brave.
That is a very good point.
Now back to more Sam's Garage. Travis gets ready to show off his plasma cutting skills by cutting out new holes to mount the bump cans for the rear suspension of Kevin's Jeep. The new hydraulic bump cans are designed to handle the off-roading that Kevin has in store for this Jeep.
So we got the Jeep back in the shop. We got Kevin and Travis here from Low Carb Performance. We're going to be installing the last mod this season, and hopefully next season we'll have some axles for this Jeep.
Yeah, this has been a bear trying to get around all the supply chain issues.
No kidding.
I'm excited for it. These Yukon gears are going to help us get through it.
Good thing you have those. Now, what is entailed in what we're doing today?
Well, Trav, unfortunately, I'm going to ask you to cut the frame again.
Oh, well, at least we got that plasma cutter from Miller to do the job.
Don't make a huge mess, okay?
You can weld it up.
Thanks. I'll weld it up when it's all done.
Yeah, to answer your question, we're going to cut slots in the side of the frame. We're going to measure out, make sure it clears our sway bar that we just put in. He's going to cut it out, we'll fit it, weld it, paint it, install our cans, and go.
Now, these cans that you're talking about, these are what, hydraulic bump stops?
They are. They match the front ones. Unfortunately, on the rear of this, the frame's too low to actually mount them to the side and everything, so we got to go in the frame.
Cool. Well, let's get started to cutting.
Yeah.
It makes it sound so easy. So right now we've already got the actual bump stop out, and they just pull out. So the next step would be to cut these welds just a little bit. Got this plasma cutter. We're just going to cut 3 welds, and it should pop right off. Then we're going to cut the seam when we put this up and measure it, then weld it up.
Well, it's tough to cut the frame of a brand new Jeep. I mean, it's not brand new at this point, but it's still new to me.
It's been totally modified.
Right?
Yep.
Normally, I'm a big stickler for sticking to the directions. As a company, we spend a lot of time and effort to make sure they're right, complete, they tell you everything you need to know. But occasionally, you come across something that you don't have to do or you can skip. It's not always bad to do that. I don't want to vary too far. Sam loves to vary away from the rules, but in this case, he was right.
Everything was cut nice, make sure everything is straight. And if your guys are installing something like this on your Jeep, don't forget that when you're doing this, your axle is shifted due to the panhard bar making go to one side when you lift the Jeep up in the air. So you have to consider the fact that it's going to go over and you want the bump stops to be straight on the pads. You know, that wasn't too bad. You're a little prickly here from all the shiny metal that's on you, but you did a very good job cutting that thing up.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
He needs a magnet shower.
He totally does. Well, that wasn't bad. That was our first time installing bump stops in the rear, right? Bump cans, as you would call them.
Sure.
And you guys did an awesome job making sure everything was cut out so we can fit everything perfectly in there. And you don't want to forget that when you're up in the air with the Jeep, the axle shift due to the panhard bar. So you have to make sure that when you're doing your cans, you look and you take that into a factor, right?
Yeah, I mean, just measure where you want them ahead of time. We use the factory bump stops as our indicator. But, you know, a lot of guys might drop a plumb bob and then, oh my gosh, it's off center. But we're fine. We knew where we were going.
Absolutely. Don't forget there is fuel involved. There's gas tanks.
Sure.
Be careful. Take your time and do it right. And in some cases, like you said earlier, a modification may hinder us, but in this case, it actually helped us.
Yeah, both of them. Actually, taking the inner fenders out made this a breeze. We didn't have to mess with the factory plastic ones, which we would have. And then we already had the sway bars done, so we knew how far the bump cans had to go in. I mean, I can't imagine if we hadn't done that
Can
first.
you imagine? Seriously, that's a lot of money with that sway bar, and it would have been gone.
When it's a permanent altercation, so.
Yeah. So this is the end for the Jeep build this season. Next season, hopefully we'll get our TerraFlex Dana 60 axles.
Yeah.
And then we'll put our ARB lockers, the Ram in the front. Then all we need is the supercharger, or maybe a couple of turbochargers, right, Travis?
Maybe.
NHOU oil undercoating is a powerful heavy-duty rust protectant that will creep and penetrate to the base metal to displace moisture and protect your vehicle from road salt, brine, and rust. The exclusive formulation is available in a clear and back in black, which completely covers the rust and leaves it a smooth, glossy black finish. NHOU provides protection to undercarriage, seams, crevices, and hidden areas. NHOU works with a laboratory to engineer every product, ensuring it protects and lasts. Each formulation is then tested at the NHOU in-house lab in New Hampshire and on thousands of cars treated there every year. NHOU works by forcing out water and sealing out oxygen. Eliminating moisture or water and rust can occur. NHOU oil undercoating eliminates both. NHOU is always making their products better, constantly tweaking each formulation as the science progresses. Now, after years of development, laboratory testing, and real-world testing, NHOU is proud to offer their most eco-sensitive, best-performing undercoating ever formulated, NHOU Enviro.
Welcome back to Sam's Garage, presented by NH Oil Undercoating. Sam and Doug take a walk around the Saleen Mustang project and recap all the maintenance and restoration work done to bring this car back to factory fresh. The guys took their time and went through step by step to ensure each component was inspected on this iconic vehicle.
When I purchased the car and where it is today, we were very fortunate to get the tonneau cover, the extra little bit of paint work that we needed to do to it. It's fantastic.
You got a nice piece to begin with. They did a nice job of storing it and taking care of it for 27 years.
Yeah, they really did. Knowing the history on this car, knowing it was the very first Saleen Cobra that was produced for the commercial market.
For his friend, that signature on the truck is cool.
Yeah.
That's a cool signature.
It is, where we signed it. Yeah, I was just very, very fortunate to find this. I mean, I did a lot of research, and then when it actually came up, I was just so happy to be able to buy it. The way it looks, I mean, it looks like it just came off the showroom floor.
What about the way it drives? Because it really had no suspension when it came in.
I took it for a real quick test spin, and it's fantastic.
It really is.
A car like this is make sure it has good fuel in it, because those fuel lines could get really clogged up.
You have to use a top-tier gas.
You do.
Gasoline is insurance. It's
It is.
peace of mind.
It is.
You pay for insurance to know that if something happens, you're covered. Gasoline, if you don't use a top-tier gasoline like Quick Trip, you will not have that peace of mind that you want. You'll get carbon buildup. It can cause a huge mess.
We were so fortunate as we went all the way through this, like with the oil, it wasn't even dirty. When we did the transmission, it looked wonderful. We didn't bother to do the rear end because it only had 42,000 miles onto it, and we couldn't see any leaks.
Absolutely. Really, the only rough part of this car was the tonneau cover.
It was.
Because it was stored separate from the car,
Yeah.
like it was outside or something.
Yeah.
But State Collision did a great job bringing it back to life.
They did.
Got great luster. We put new seal on the bottom because there was a seal there to begin with.
Right.
That interior turned out nice. You had very small blemishes. It looked old, but doing that little step that they did for us made it look new again.
Yeah, it really did. To watch them come in and take a lot of the cracks and smooth them all out, and then to go ahead and to re-dye it, it looks factory fresh. I mean, I'm just so impressed.
The second biggest compliment to this car, not only the tonneau cover, but that convertible top.
Yeah, having that new top on, and especially when we upgraded the top, we went away from the vinyl.
Yeah. The cloth just added a different level of class to this car.
It does.
You know, that interior looks really good, top looks good and everything, but you did an awesome job detailing it and giving everybody at home tips and tricks on how to detail their car and maybe save a little bit of money.
Yeah, I've done a lot of detailing over the years. There's times that I've taken paint that I thought for sure I was going to have to repaint a car, and taking my time, bringing it all the way back up, and then ceramic coating, airbrushing, doing stuff, was able to save tens of thousands of dollars, and it still look, 3, 4, 5 years later, it looks brand new. And don't get lazy. Make sure all the belts are changed. Look at the hoses. If they're too old, replace them. It's easy. When you're doing all of that stuff, go ahead and change the coolant. Just take your time and go through it. And if you do that, then you're going to have many, many years of enjoyment on that automobile.
The wheels being refinished is a nice touch.
It really is, Sam. I mean, the wheels look fantastic. You know, they were really getting old looking, and you know, paint just gets old, and refinishing them all looks fantastic.
Yep. And those center caps and the badges coming from Spring over to Saleen, it's going to top it all off. But the most important thing is that when you want to buy something like this for yourself, do your due diligence.
Yes.
Go out there and inspect the car. Maybe even if you're far from the location, have a local mechanic go inspect the car.
Yeah, what you're saying is so true. I've met a lot of guys over the years, and what they've done is they see a lot of pictures, and all of a sudden the car arrives. I always tell people, don't get into a hurry. If you miss one car, another one will come back up. Do your due diligence. If you can't see it, send a good mechanic out there that really understands the car, knows the car. It'll save you a lot of money, because not everybody out there is honest. Yeah, I know.
That's exactly right.
Be sure to stay tuned. Sam's Garage will be right back. Welcome back to Sam's Garage, presented by NHOU. Doug takes Sam out for a test drive to continue their conversation on the Saleen Mustang restoration project. He's excited to get the car home and introduce it to the other Mustangs in his collection.
Well, I can't wait for you to take this back to Oklahoma and put it next to the yellow Saleen, next to the GT350, next to the Cobra, next to the Thunderbird.
Yeah, I know. You know, the collections, you know, here's the thing is, Sam, is, you know, I already had a nice collection to begin with, but doing the shows, I've really added some tremendous. One of these days we'll have to go just show all the cars, show all of the people out there the collection. Really, really enjoyed it over the year. It's really been a love of my life. It's something I started collecting and working on them when I was 16. That's why my hands are all messed up, but they're getting better.
But it was worth it.
You know, Sam, let's go take this baby for a drive.
Don't forget your hat.
I won't. Let's take her for a run,
Let's
buddy.
do it.
Let's go. Well, Sam, how do I look?
You look great in that hat. And not only that, you look at home in the car.
You know what, Sam? I've been really looking forward to taking this thing for a drive. I mean, we've got everything done, and it's wonderful.
Oh, not only that, but the state of Oklahoma was looking forward to watching you drive it on their streets.
Oh, I think so. Well, Sam, what do you think?
I think you look good, and it rides really nice.
I think so too, you know, and the power in this is absolutely fantastic. When I punch it, wow.
And we're not bouncing down the road.
Yeah, you know.
Like we got hydraulics.
I know. And it handles wonderful.
It does.
It's a great time. I mean, the car feels just great. You just get behind the wheel, and you know, but the best part about it all is I look good in it.
No, you do look good at it, really good. This thing really does ride like it's new.
It does.
It's 27 years old. It's amazing.
It is, and you know, but once again, we took our time. We replaced the bushings, we replaced the shocks, we did everything we needed to do. Now it just drives like a dream.
There's no body noise, no creaks, no rattles, none of that.
You know, the great thing about it right now is there's no wind noise.
Yeah, there's no wind noise either. Well, what do you say we go to the lake and do a little spin?
That'd be great.
All right, cool.
You know what? I think we'll drift.
You still know how.
I do.
Good job. Thank you guys again for joining us for another great season with a project from Doug. The Saleen was really cool. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Stay tuned for next season because we're just going to keep bringing you more and better vehicles and projects.
Yeah, Sam, I've got some really cool cars up my sleeve that'll be coming for next season.
And they're all Fords. If you guys have any questions, you can go on our website and send it to us. And if you want something like this for yourself, make sure to do your due diligence, do your inspections, spend the right money, and make it yours when you get it home.
Yeah, and if you guys have questions, you know, pop us an email. We really appreciate everybody that watches the show. We're really trying to bring you guys wonderful content with what our love is, working on priceless gems like this.
Be sure to check out Sam's Garage on these other media platforms. Send us questions and feedback to info@samsgaragetv.com. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Sam's Garage. The team installed new anti-rock sway bars on Kevin's Jeep. Then Travis used his skills to modify the Jeep's frame and install new rear bump cans. Sam and Doug walked us through the restoration timeline of the Saleen Mustang. And then Doug took Sam out on a test drive with the top down and the wind in their hair.